Hello and welcome back here to the final game on this second last day of the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships here in beautiful sunny Perth, Western Australia. We're excited to bring you the men's bronze medal match between the hometown boys, the Australian Go Runners, and the German Under-24 men's team. Both of these teams going down in their semi-finals earlier this morning. Australia not able to get over the US, and Italy knocking out Germany. And here they are, searching for a bit of silverware. Let's see what they can bring. Australians coming out on this downwind offense here in this attacking position. Looks like they've won the flip. It's been a long tournament for these teams. They've had to face a lot of oppositions. Both of these teams have had a number of wins, a number of losses across the tournament, and a long, difficult journey to arrive where they are here. Not including the loss in the semis this morning, both of these teams have had a couple of losses in pool play, a couple of difficult wins, some universe points that they won, some universe points that they lost. It's been a long road, and they're nearly at the end of it here, but not without a final heroic push. I'm Rob Swan, and I'm here with my co-commentator.
Hello everyone, my name is Michaela Dignam. Pleased to join you today for this sensational final we're about to be today between Australia and Germany. And the pool is off.
Germany going up in on offense.
And we've got two handlers back in a 5 horizontal stack down field, it looks like. Australians putting a lot of close pressure around the disc. The wind, as always, this tournament is hefty. This has been a consistent feature throughout the tournament. It's passing from left to right on your screen at home. And I think it's been a great equaliser between many of the teams. This is, we're seeing European teams in the finals. Italy will be in the bronze medal match tomorrow, and of course Germany in this, Italy in the gold medal match tomorrow, and of course Germany in this bronze medal match. They probably get a lot more wind over there in Europe.
Ghana's putting on a hefty defense here. This is very fierce. They're opting for a zone defense straight out of the gate. Defense like this puts a lot of players around the disc, making it very difficult for throws as they find a block there. That one's patted to the ground by Grimmond. Australia walking to the disc. Bocce picking up. Resets to Grimmond. Grimmond with a high release flick. He's got Evans. That one's sailing too far. German defenders reading that well. Double covering that cut there. Australia back on defense, setting the same zone again.
A lot of pressure forcing that sideline, making it a very difficult throw out up the line. There we go, that's Metzger sending this one flying.
Speaking of going flying, McGuckin coming in there looking for a bid.
The Germans doing a great job moving it laterally. It's looking like it's very crowded though to actually attack the downfield space. I was speaking to their coach earlier. They've lost quite a few legs from injured players this tournament. He said they're looking to win with their brains and not with their feet so much, because I think they're feeling pretty exhausted because of the heat and lots of universe point games they've had. So they'll be looking just to move it and take the option when it comes and not force anything.
It's going to be interesting to see how that matchups against the Australian style, which has typically been very athleticism-based. A lot of these boys have been in the gym, rearranging those weights, picking them up, putting them down, getting quite large for this tournament. They've used that to their advantage for their height, their speed, and using a lot of long balls. So it's going to be interesting to see how those two different styles match up here.
Yeah, so now we're seeing a lot of German players around the disc. We can see about 5 players within 10 metres of the disc. The Australians putting a lot of pressure on that far sideline. An excellent throw to get it through there.
Despite not wanting to do a lot of running, the Germans working really hard. A lot of throws for not a lot of gain here. There's a bit of contact there, and Grimmond coming in, and that'll be an uncontested foul.
Excellent. So it looks like we're just recycling through these handlers here. Number 24, Hartman, and 70, Metzger, seem to be playing some pretty pivotal roles in centering and swinging the disc to the far side. The Germans can get it over to this side. I think it'll open up a lot more for them, because it's certainly attacking that far sideline, looking very crowded at the moment.
Doing well to hold possession, though. It's testament to their throwing skill. Managed to get it this far without a turnover. There's been a lot of passes here, so I think this is working in the Australians' advantage. As you can see, the German players having to move a lot, force a lot of throws in a small space, whereas a lot of the Australian defenders, particularly the three that are spaced out in that deep space, not having to do a lot of walking, just slightly adjusting their position, moving as the disc does. Of course, 4 boys up front, really pumping those sticks, really getting it done, especially Murph running on the mark.
Yeah, I think typically in a zone it'll be friendly to look for a hammer or a nice over-the-top high release, but in these conditions it makes it much more difficult. You've just got to get really low and break through the cup, which when you've got 5 players around you makes it very difficult. Oh, very close there from Evans.
Indeed, and I think that's what the Australian coaches will be counting on when they've told the boys to run this. Yuang, an extremely experienced coach, having won a silver medal with the Blue Bottles 2 years ago. As there it comes, that's the turnover they were looking for. Australia needing to be consistent here. Can't give away a cheap turn like they did last time. Bocce with the disc. Looks for Grimmond around. Finds the reset. Grimmond inside. Bocce up the line. McGuckin. Guckin inside to Bocce. Looks around for that shot. A bidding Lachlan Murphy off the back there. He's one of the big boys. They'll be looking for him to reel in those shots, but that's not the option that the Australians were looking for. There's not a lot of pressure on them going downwind. The Germans are going to have to be respecting this deep shot. With the wind at their backs, the Australians can send it long at any time, so the Germans having to a lot of different spaces to guard, whereas the Australians not having to guard so much space. As we can see, it's a difficult floaty hammer. The Germans have executed, though.
Yeah, Wallaby did excellently to get it out of that tight corner. 5 players around the disc there. Sensational to get it out to this space.
It's coming again here. The Australians have got him where they want him, really. Trapped on the sideline here, and the Germans conceding a bit of ground here. It's going to see if they're able to work it and take little meters at a time this time, or they're going to look for another breaking pass like that hammer we saw before.
Yeah, the Germans do appear to be taking a lot of lateral space and trying to kind of jam it up the sidelines. We haven't seen them progress the disc much through the middle of the field yet, where it looks like there's a lot of space. Might be because they've got quite a few handlers back around the disc. Oh, well, there they go. One through the middle.
Might have been listening to you there. Oh, that shot goes long, but it's...
Sensational bid. And the disc stays alive in spite of these conditions. They're doing very well. Patient like their coach wanted, not forcing it too much.
You can hear calls from the Australian sideline. Keep the pressure. It's easy for the Australians to sort of get stagnant, stuck in a position. And they force a difficult shot there, and that one's rolled the disc almost all the way back to the end zone. Australians with about 5 meters to work here. They'll really be wanting to put those in. This is their 3rd offensive possession of this point. Germans not able to advance very far, but the Australians don't want to be giving this away cheaply. It's not setting the right tone for the rest of the game. It's not going to keep working. Grimmond with the disc. Resets to Evans. Grimmond. Evans. Right out the front with a bit of give-go. Looking inside. Cheng jinking around. Grimmond out the front. Finds Evans. Evans back to Grimmond. Looks like there's a lot of bump there. A little bit of a domino effect. One of the German defenders coming into Grimmond, and Grimmond's shoulder going into the other German defender. It's the kind of thing that can happen in a sort of tight space like this, but we're really hoping for a bit better body control from these players.
Absolutely a foul, my friend. Look, that's... yeah, in a medal squad.
Grimmett, of course, is one of the captains of this team and played with the Blue Bottles in 2015 when they secured a silver medal. It'd be nice if he could get 2 from 2 this time around. See how this game turns.
Absolutely. The Germans are substituting a player on there. He looks to be injured. Might not be a terribly bad injury, but of course, if there is blood coming out of his body, he's got to take a sub until he can get that fixed up. This coming in on 0 with Grimmett out the front. Not a lot of space here as Grimmett pops it forward, and McGuckin sewers that. Running towards that open cone, using his length and speed to get open there, as Australia opens the account with a 1-0 lead after a lengthy point and multiple turnovers there that managed to go downwind. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of defense the Australians bring out here. Germans, of course, going downwind, having the same advantage that the Australians enjoyed in that point just there. So if I'm a betting man, and I'm not, because gambling is a curse of modern society, Germany will be looking to shoot long, powerfully take that. Like you said, they're not using to use their legs, they're looking to play smart. So they'll be threatening that deep shot, forcing the Australian defenders to follow them deep, and that'll open a lot of space underneath. They'll be able to use that space efficiently to get those shots and 4 or 5 passes, and then they'll be right out the front of the end zone here.
Indeed, yeah, talking to the coach, he said he's not a big fan of the huck and zone, so he's really encouraging his team to be wise about their deep shots. I think this tournament we have seen a lot of deep shots teams just looking to optimize the wind and sort of play an upwind down game. Given they're trying to play smarts, I think he's told his men to focus a bit more on possession, but it'll be interesting to see. I agree with you. When the wind's so strong, you kind of want to take advantage of it. Be interesting to see what they do. And it does look like the Aussies are setting up another zone, which might render a huck more challenging.
Yeah, interesting to see. It does leave the Australians with less defenders in their deep space, but it's going to make that lateral movement much more challenging as the Germans are off going downwind. McGuckin elevating for the D there. And they'll have a bit of a chat about what happened. Linus Mueller, German heritage himself, he's lived and played in Australia for a long time and is one of the assets to this team. Looks like a stall is being called, and it's contested here, but it's a turnover regardless. But it is a stoppage, so
yeah, it's a continuation of 1.
Play will continue and it'll stay with McGuckin with that grab. But it is a stoppage, so the players will have to go back to where they were. McGuckin will check it in and the Australians will play from here. McGuckin taking his time with the disc here, getting a little patience. Goes back to Hart, who can't reel that one in, giving Germany the short field here.
Wow. Horschmeyer picking that one up, but it looked a bit rushed. His player didn't see it coming. We've got an excellent deep cut coming off from the Australians to try and lengthen that field early.
Now off to the races here. Petrov finding Gann inside. The UNSW connection, that's one's just sailing out the side. Jeremy Hart taken off, but is already out of the field. Australians taking this opportunity to reset their zone defense. McGuckin again in the deep space.
And Voliver picking up here. He is one of 2 twins on the German offensive line. His brother, unfortunately, off the field today with an injury, so he's just singly representing his family, but already demonstrated himself to be quite an anchor in their German offense. And there he is, passing the assist. That's 1-1 Australia-Germany.
Yeah, interesting to see there. Australia came out with that zone defense. Got a turn. Were able to work a little way upwind, but just a couple of execution errors there and that sailed out. Germany, of course, going the other way. That was a quick downwind punish. That's what we're going to see from these teams. when the disc goes out the sideline like it did there, it gives Australia an opportunity to set up their zone defense, get all their defenders in position, and gives them a strong advantage. But if there's an infield turnover, the Germans will be off to the races, and the Australians will be forced to play one-on-one match defense, which is not quite what the coaches are looking for here, but Australians might be able to make it happen. Germans are leveled up, and the Australians on offense now going downwind. I think it's going to be interesting to see over the course of this game how many teams are able to score going a right to left direction. It's going to make throws a little more challenging. These players are absolutely to work it and play through it, but it's going to take a bit longer, and they're going to need to hold on to a lot of these shots if they're going to make sure of it.
Yeah, the German team described their semi-weather as Bologna weather, Italian weather, saying it was sunny and still, but this is certainly a very different contrast to the conditions they saw this morning.
If it's Italian weather, that might explain a bit of the result. Italians feeling at home and getting up there as Ha fields the disc and finds Gan on the sideline.
Germans playing a zone of their own now, a bit different to the Australians, hanging off, not sort of stifling pressure on a sideline. Looks like they're trying to stop that middle look in the centre of the field and forcing it wide.
Australians at the moment happy to work down the far sideline. Oh, as McGuckin looks long, looks like it's sitting up a bit, but Rob Andrews getting up high, taking a grab and putting his foot down. But it looks like there's a call on the field here.
I think Andrews himself was calling that one out.
All right. Well, that's great spirit from Andrews there to recognize that he wasn't in the field and let his team know, as Germany with a chance to go upwind here against this one-on-one match defense of the Australians.
It'll be interesting to see. This is the first time the Germans have played against the Australians playing match. We've only seen some zone looks so far.
And that's Braden Cheng using his athleticism and speed, taking off and getting that block. Australians with a short field to work. Gan with the disc, looks inside, finds McGuckin for the score, and they've moved it through that short field. Exploited the German turnover effectively there. Gan, one of the stat leaders for this Australian team, and nearly one of the leaders for the division. Looking to add some numbers to his count, as this is the last game of the campaign for these gentlemen on the field here. There's only so high I can take him.
And of course, this rivalry does have some history. For those around in 2013, the Australians and Germans played off for bronze then, and it was a universe point win for the Goannas, the Australian team. But of course, in the pool play, the Germans had beaten the Australians by 1, and this time around the Germans beat the Australians by 2 in the pool play, I believe. So obviously a very, very close contest, and look, maybe history will repeat itself today.
Oh, we'll see how we go. We here in the booth can only hope. Everybody on the stream might have hopes of their own. A lot of young players here on this Australian team. Bill the Grill Foreman himself on the sideline, previously vomiting last night, but looking fresh today, having represented Australia recently at the Under-20 World Championships in Poland. A number of these players have represented Australia and Germany previously on different levels here, as Australia comes out on defense here and the Germans moving, and that might have been a bit of a low grab. And that's a retracted down call. We're backing away at it.
Now we're seeing another match defense from the Australia with 2 handlers back on the German side. Excellent bid to keep the disc alive. And again, we are seeing Wallaber anchoring this offense. But it looks like they're happy taking these 20-meter gainers. Oh, just as I say that. Oh.
That's a great shot coming from the German team. Landing in the right position, absolutely well read, but just out of the hands of the receiver here. A lot of athleticism coming out in play here. We were saying before the Germans might be a bit tired, but it didn't look like that to me. There's a lot of pace on field here. Let's see how they're using it. Mueller fielding the disc for the Australians. A low shot. Finds Revi, another junior representative. Goes back to Lisk. Lisk, patient with the disc. Takes his time, stabilizes. Back to Davis, the lone South Australian on this team. Looks around, finds Cook. Cook fakes the big. Finds Jacobs on the inside here. Looks like there's a pick call in the stack. Jacobs often open that free, but this time it was because of a pick, not because of his blinding pace. Disc will come back in with Cook. Go around, find his fellow Queenslander Leask, who's uncorking a big backhand. Is that one going to come back into the field here? And it's defended by the Germans. Unable to sail back into the field. Has a turnover called. As is coming in on the cone, Jacobs on the mark.
Wallaber picking up again, and it's looked like a strong forcing back into the end zone from the Australian marks. We are in Callaghan territory. Looks like the Australians are really forcing the Germans closest to the nearest sideline, trapping the disc there. Oh.
That's an amazing block. Trent Thompson using his pecs to get up big. One of the most muscled men on this Australian team, in a team of very muscular men. Germans not to be outdone, showing how strong they are going downwind here.
And the wind just lofts that one up. It was a great look. There was excellent separation from the downfield cutter, but of course, the gusty wind, unpredictable, takes that one outside the field.
Yeah, as much as we say the wind is an advantage going downwind, it requires a special throwing finesse to be able to control the flight of the disc over such a long distance. You can absolutely sail out of your hands going downfield. Davis goes to Cook upfield, and that's sent long, but Revi screams through for the grab. As there's a bit of contact called there. Players have a chat.
Yeah, 1 versus 2, and he kept it alive. That was incredible.
Might have been the first to recognize there. I think Cook was looking for Mueller up the line.
My hand, but I couldn't see what was happening, so I don't know what was in and what was out. I couldn't tell from behind, so it's just asking.
I just see how your body landed on line on your feet. You're still on the ground when you catch it. I don't see it. If your feet were still on the ground when you catch it. But I just saw your body falling on the ground. So just ask them. Yeah.
I had a pretty good deal. I was right on the line. I pretty chest me off there.
So, and I was out?
Yeah, chest me off.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
That's an amazingly athletic grab there, but looks like he's taken it and then landed on the line, so that'll be out and a turnover. Germany about half field, working down. Australia playing tight in match defense. Incredibly tight there as the Germans moving into the Australians. Look like there's a little biff, little bit of bump early in this game. These players will look to have early discussions here, trying to set the tone and the level of physicality they want to play with. These are both incredibly hype and emotional teams, and they're using their passion to their advantage all throughout this tournament, but they'll look to find an appropriate level that they're both happy to play at and then stick to that for the rest of the game. So it's going to be interesting to see how these foul calls set the tone early in the game.
Excellent. We've got the disc central now. Germany swung it very effectively to the far side, which has been proving difficult all game for them. And a fantastic inside-out flick for that score, but it looks like there's been a call.
Yeah, that'll be a pick one. Look like the Germans playing out of a vertical stack at the back of the end zone and a horizontal cut. Definitely players getting in the way. Bit of traffic there.
So we've got Hornschmeyer with the disc. It looks like the disc is coming in on 4. Safe dump to keep it alive. We're seeing some excellent up the line movement. It wasn't taken, and fantastic. That is 24. Marcel Hartmann open on the open side for the score.
Yeah, it's amazingly effective shake and bake there. He's pulled his defender, made him bite on that break side move, and ran to the open side and got it open there. Germany, after a lot of turns, a lot of stoppages there, going downwind and level it up 2-2. All downwind so far. Neither team able to advance it past the brick mark, going in the upwind direction. Australians having a bit of luck in moving there against the German match defense, but unable to convert. A lot of difficult throws and just makes it that much harder. And against an elite athletic defense like this German team, it really has to be perfect or else they're going to get blocks here. Timothy's Copeland, he's one of the assistant coaches of this Australian team, offering directions to the go-runners as they're going downwind here. Copeland, an experienced player in his own right, having represented Australia with the Barramundis at the World Championships, the mixed team collecting a medal there, and also in 2015 with the Blue Bottles. Jeremy Ha picks up the disc here as Germany comes out in his own defense. Finds Boccia, looks off that big shot. Finds McGuckin in the cut there. Australians quite content to move. Brendan Kanziri in the center here, offering some stability. Nice inside shot to McGuckin. Back to Boccia. Australians advancing calmly and confidently down the field here. A beautiful scoop over the top. And Kanziri's in the area. Stabilizing this defense here. As the count's getting a little high. And he finds Alex Scan. Looking for the goal here. Looking for some patience. And he's found Cheng on the open side there with a nice slicing flick. Just enough edge on that one to move it forward the 1 meter that he needed to get over that line. Australia with a quick hold going downwind, and it's 3-2.
Yeah, that was excellent transition to match defense from the German team. I hardly noticed it happened until the end there. Very smooth, obviously very well rehearsed. This campaign has been lasting almost 2 years for them. Their team having their first selection camp in March 2016, and their team being selected in May 2017 last year. So that's a lot of time training, working hard together, and quite clearly practicing their structures.
Absolutely. And it's absolutely paid off for them here. They've put themselves in an amazing position with a real chance at a medal here in this bronze match. Tomorrow we will see Italy and the United States of America facing off in the men's final. But today, Germany and Australia looking for that bronze. And the loser here today going home empty-handed with nothing but an amazing week full of new friends and experiences and an elevated sense of self-confidence here as the Australians hustle down on defense.
And we are in Callahan territory again, and we're seeing Metzger and Wallaber, who seem to be the drivers of this German offense, and that same zone again from Australia. Looks like they're forcing middle again. Middle actually this time, not a sideline trap, possibly to push the disc back into the field.
Yeah, it's interesting, often we see in a zone like this, it might force middle, and when it's on the sideline and quite close, get a trap there, but at the moment, Germans advancing strongly.
And now the disc is central and close to us, the sideline that's proved very difficult to move the disc to throughout the game. Germans showing some confident lateral movement, and it looks like the Australians have transitioned into match very cleanly as well.
And the long shot goes off. Lachlan Murphy's in the area, and that one's sailing and floating. Oh, and that's a tremendous defense right at the back of the end zone there. It might have been sailing out the back, but never pays to be sure. It's all right, Australia earn themselves a chance at this elusive upwind break here. If they're able to complete it in the face of this blustery wind here, they'll go up 4-2. Interesting to note that this 5 p.m. slot here in Perth has often been a little bit more still, a little bit cooler than the other games throughout the day, but might be a bit cooler, but it is absolutely blowing a gale today as Evans brings in the disc on the end zone line for the Australians. Unable to execute in the wind there, and that one's right down into the turf. The Germans knocking on the door.
And here we are again. Wallaber picking up, looking for a really quick turn, but it looks like he's a bit stuck here. Loft over the top, possession maintained, but it looked very challenging. A lot of space on the side of the field closest to us, but no doubt the throw there is very difficult. And they've moved it there very well. Hornschmeyer with the disc now. Centers to Hartman.
Petrov guiding the dump. Oh, gets a hand on that, but it's completed. Australian defenders coming out strong. Sam McGuckin with a flying bid there. And Bill Foreman getting another hand on that as well.
Just goes to show that even when you are having the wind at your back, it's still very difficult to execute the throws. The wind just slapping the disc closer and closer to the ground. You've got to put a lot of spin and control on it to keep it up.
Adrian Lim taking the time to tie his shoes there. I've seen him move so fast. He's breaking several pairs of cleats this week. This comes in with Grimmond. Grimmond finds Petrov with a diving grab. Petrov finds McGuckin on the sideline. McGuckin shoots long. He's got Foreman there, Murphy on the back. Australians unable to reel that in.
So Germany again with a shot at this downwind offense. Take the 20-meter easy gainer from Hornschmeyer. And he sends it.
Murphy again putting that one into the dirt.
It didn't look like his team was giving him much, Hornschmeyer. The cuts were a bit static there, end of the week, but I didn't feel like he had too many options.
Yeah, it's hard to fold him when he's looking for that long shot. He's got the wind at his back. It's potentially back banking on the Australian short field turn here. And the Germans looking for an easy goal off that as Grimmond find McGuckin's with an inside break. McGuckin fakes the big, resets to Grimmond. Grimmond finds Lim under pressure. Lim to Evans in the center. Evans shoots long, Foreman on the end, and he's taken that one. He's about 5 meters out of the end zone here. The Australians needing to be patient. Resets to Lim, and then finds Foreman right on the end zone line. That's the upwind break the Australians were looking for. It's 4-2, Goanna's lead.
Yeah, sensational throw from Ash Evans there to get the disc in that third of the field. So difficult upwind, and he just put so much inside out on it, so much spin. It just lofted up there beautifully for his receiver. You need to be courageous with throws like that in the wind, and it was gutsy, but he backed himself and got the job done.
Absolutely. Bill Foreman doing a great job to reel that one in, take the patience. We've seen a number of teams here receiving a huge grab like that, getting all fired up about what they've done and forgetting about the conservation of greatness law and giving a quick turf. Turnovers near that upwind end zone will be mentally crushing for the upwind team because they've done all the work to get it past the defense, do what has to be done to push it there. Not it. And this time the Australians able to complete the last 5%, and with that rewarded with a 2-point lead and in a great position here to extend it.
And Bill is one of their youngest players, or the youngest player, right? 18 years of age, I believe.
Absolutely. I'm receiving a special sideline report from Goanna's player Elliot Cook. He tells me there's another break coming, but I think he's an unreliable source of information. This German team looks strong going upwind here. But then the Goannas have arrived with their zone. We'll see how we go as they look to claw their way. Small deficit early in this game here, but upwind breaks. We've seen a lot of games with only 1 or 2 upwind breaks throughout the game. Goannas needing to hold all of their downwind points here. Germans needing an upwind break if they want to be back on serve.
Absolutely. It does look a bit static there, but as soon as they get one through, I think the Germans will get the disc moving very quickly to optimize that advantage. Just being very patient. Like we've seen in the earlier points, the Germans can be patient and move it laterally very effectively. It's when we get trapped in the sidelines that things look a bit lost. And there it is. We've got Marco Kraus out here, waiting in the space for the disc to come. And the question will be, can we get it off this sideline, which we can. The zone's looking a little bit looser from Australia than it has in earlier points.
That's an amazing bid. Mueller coming past the disc there, looking for a bid, and Australians getting in the way of that throw. Germans doing well to abuse that. Mueller looking for that bid, biting on that defense, and then exposing the free German player. We can see he's still free there. And must have knocked the disc out of his hand. We're back again.
Looks like we've got Rob Andrews on the mark, one of my former teammates who played World Games earlier this year. Don't know if anyone saw the footage of that, but he is a beast on the mark. Intimidating for any thrower, and there's an Australian turn.
Goannas with an opportunity to go down here. Looking to stretch out their lead to 5-2. They'll be feeling confident about their shots. Germans coming out in a match defense here, despite the opportunity to set up a zone with that out-of-bounds disc, opting to back in their receivers as Jackson shoots long, looking for Andrews, but the wind, not just left to right, also coming straight sort of towards the camera, a bit of an angle, just pushing that disc straight into the dirt, gaining the Australians yardage, but losing possession there. As the Goannas set up a zone, and they check the condition of the disc. Discs, the incredible force that these players are putting into them, and the diving bids and grabs can absolutely get warped and bent out of shape, and that'll affect the flight of the disc even more than the wind would. So they'll check it and they'll swap it out with a fresh one. Every field here at the World Ultimate Championships, the under-24 division, are supplied with at a minimum of 2 game discs. Although, as you can see, there is plenty around. Imagine there's almost a Frisbee in every person's bag on the sideline here.
And the Germans look deep early, but look, a sensational run from Marco Kraus, but look, he'd had to have Bolt-esque speed to have made that one, I think.
Yeah, something like that. But, you know, just a bit too much pepper in that sauce. Sailing a bit too long. Grimond with a disc. Andrews isolated in the lane here. Turns and burns. He's got a man with a disc. Grimond takes the safe option. Looks like there's a foul on the mark.
Great run through D from 54. Moritz shocked, but it looks like the throw might have been affected by the mark.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. They'll have a talk about that. And that's uncontested, so just coming in on 0. Grimond making great use of the hand signals here so everybody can see regardless of language or distance. Jackson with a disc, and that's a disgusting push pass, but Grimond's launched it anyway. He's got Andrews on the other end as that disc is dying. Andrews able to get a hand to it, but not able to reel that one in. Getting a lot of yardage here for the Australians, but looks like the defense might have come off the worst for wear in that contact. Let's hope he's okay here with hoping for a physical and intense match here, but of course, Ultimate Frisbee is a non-contact sport, and these players will have to match the lowest common denominator, as it were. Some teams happy to play with a level of contact and a little bit of bump and grind, but if a team wants a nil contact game, wants it to be not even touching with a hand, then the other team has to match that and has to play to it.
It's a turnover. That's our new play.
Looks like he's taking an injury, we replaced, but there's no call on the play, and so the turnover will stand. Germany with a full field to work here. Australia making use of their substitution as well. If the German team is allowed an injury sub, the Australian team is offered 1 free substitution as well. Harrison Revi gracefully taking a substitution for Braden Cheng. Germany moving upfield here. Australians resetting the zone.
You see a lovely hammer over the top, but it couldn't quite get there. And the Australians look to complete early. And they do! Sensational bid by Andrews, but the question is, was he in the field?
Braden Cheng, an instant impact player. Truly a power sub, coming on and using his speed to get an instant block here and looking to throw the goal, but that's sailed over the head of his intended target, Evans. It's gone to Andrews, and they'll just have a little chat and see what they can see. And it looks like that one's been called out the back. So, Australia on defense again, unable to complete after a short field turnover. Germany looking to go the full field upwind against this Australian zone. Let's see if they can do it.
There you go. Hartman again with the disc. He seems to be the safety handler standing back that everyone can throw to when the stall count gets high. And the primary director of this German line. They've moved it to the middle very well, but cleaned up by the Australians.
Mueller with a great read there. That disc just sat maybe half a second too long. And collected. Dished off to Foreman. And look at the foul on the mark there, but it's uncontested. These things happen. Foreman faking around, resets to Grimmond. Grimmond leading his team, finds Mueller, holding that space with his incredible frame. Resets around to his Queensland countryman, Grimmond. Finds Andrews, Grimmond up the line. Andrews sits it out for him, and then Grimmond makes the grab. Australia have gone downwind and stretched out their lead to 5-2.
Often in this wind, we're seeing teams scoring 2 breaks in a row. It's just essentially an upwind, downwind game, which means if you get the upwind break, look, we're putting your money on you getting the downwind break as well. So let's see how Germany goes. If they can get an upwinder later in the game, we may well see a similar result in terms of getting 2 for the price of 1.
Absolutely, and it's a pretty steep price. Teams have to working very, very difficult conditions going upwind. We saw that Australians were able to do it last time with a big huck. Other teams opting for a long, grindy approach, not wanting to turn it over on a long shot. Germans looking to go downwind here. 3-point deficit. It's a little bit misleading. The Germans can hold on here on their offense and put this one in going downwind. We're back to 2 points. But the Australians, not willing to just let that one slide. They'll come out here with a defense then. Let's see how this pool goes. Might dictate the defense they play. Cook floating this one up. And that one's sitting nicely, but maybe too much. And it's just slid out the side. Germans signaling a brick. So they'll be taking it from the center of the field. Australians setting up.
This is Charles picking up for Germany. Seeing a few more small give-go throws from them this time around, just working it up, taking their time. They haven't had a huge deep look yet, but that one's a bit of an overthrow up the line and another turn for Australia.
Yeah, Australia loves that. See here the boys on the sideline getting amped and excited about this. A very emotion-driven team, very passionate. And they've come a long way. It's the last game of the tournament as Davis brings up the disc. Looks for Cook on the inside, but he can't quite wheel that one in. Australia back to playing defense and instantly into one-on-one match.
Scholl again picking up. We haven't seen too much of him yet. And the disc is turned over. Just a bit of a low throw there. Couldn't be picked up by Shiat's hands. And it's sent long by the Australians.
Least picking up, gripping and ripping, and McGuckin knows what to do. He's taken the diving grab. The goalies needing patience at the front here. Turnover here has been crushing. Unsurprisingly, in all the chaos there's a pick called. Leask waiting out the front here. They need patience. His team will be disappointed with a turn here. Take the time they need, and he goes around. And that one sails down, that one's pushed down by the wind, potentially in a little ambitious throw. Should have dumped it. Australia back on defense.
Germany back on defense. Oh, sorry. Australia back on offense, beg your pardon. And they have sent it. What a beautiful throw. And excellently run down by Anton Shiat. And a timeout called.
All right. Let's see if the Germans can put it in here. Looks like the stall count will be coming back in on 4 after the timeout. Australians unable to convert there. An amazing grab by McGuckin, but Least not able to move the disc and reset the count and forced into a difficult break throw, looking for McGuckin again. Germans with an easy chance here. They've taken the timeout. They'll reset themselves. There's a well-drilled team, like you're saying. They've been training for a number of years so far, so no doubt they'll have an ace up their sleeve. They'll set up a quick play and look to dink it in with a quick score.
Yeah, a lot of discussion about whether calling a timeout on the end zone after a long huck gainer is a good strategic move. I've heard people sitting on either side of the fence. Some people say, you know, you can set up an isolation play, get a bit of offensive structure there. Others say the defense is behind the disc. Really, you've lost your opportunity if you give them time to set up. So it'll be interesting to see what the Germans do with this timeout and how they use it to optimize their offense.
Absolutely. I think there's people on both sides of the argument tell you they're geniuses and the other people are mad as a cut snake, but don't believe them. Back yourself, make your own decisions here. German team have done that as they've come out, set up in an offense here. No dump, 6 cutters in the stack and 1 man with a disc.
I think 57 is the dump actually. Jonathan Schalber, he's set up about 10 meters behind the disc. Very interesting setup.
My apologies, I thought he had it, but that's all right. The Germans even closer than we thought. The Goannas picking their positions here, taking time, doing a nice little bit of pointing and sort of covering all the area here. It's going to be interesting to see. They've stopped this first look and see what the Germans do.
Yeah, poaching off Scholl, just choosing to create chaos and clutter in the end zone, but it meant he was open for an easy first dump. But the Germans have, of course, lost some meters in that process.
The Australians gone straight back to his zone. That's a quick turnover, and Leask is off to the races. The Goannas off for a nice dump to Cook. Oh, that's a nice bid, but McGuckin gets wide and bounces that one in the air a little bit. Leask with a great grab. He's got his man deep and he shoots wide. Trent Thompson under this one. Oh, elevates high, but unable to take the grab.
Yeah, 2v1, it would have been pretty incredible if Thompson could have kept that one alive. Well defended by the Germans. And that disc is just kept alive on the far sideline. They send some hucks of their own. But again, the wind whipping that one down.
Yeah, this German offense at the moment, all over the place like a dog's breakfast as Jacob gets the disc. Resets to Davis. And they're needing to move the disc here. Leask getting open on the inside. Not opting for the shot here. Bit of patience. Not looking for the reset. Taking it late. Cook with the disc. Finds Harrison Revi. Leask jinking around. Getting open finally. And calling a timeout of their own. As the Goannas would say, they're in our heads. One good timeout deserves another. Germans unable to score on theirs. The Australians potentially doing this for strategic reasons, potentially just trying to prove that they can do it.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that once you get a turn and you're close to the upwind end zone, you really want to prioritise possession. We're seeing the Goannas with possession at the moment in more or less the middle of the field. So I think they'll be looking to capitalise on another upwind break. As I said, you might get 2 for the price of 1 if you get a break, and 2 breaks in the first half would be a sensational result for the Goannas and put them in a great position for the second half of the game.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting here that Goannas clearly struggling to get open on these upwinders. The cutter's really closely guarded. We saw a number of people moving in that open space, but being looked off by the throws. The Germans right there on their hips, threatening that layout block. The Australians not willing to throw it unless there's a good amount of separation, because they have seen these Germans come screaming through with layout blocks and they don't want it to happen to them.
Yeah, we've seen a great use of the deep space from the Australians so far, though. I think early on in a game, you kind of need to feel out the wind a bit, so we did see a few turnovers from hucks, but we've seen some excellent completions of late, and I'm glad to see them hucking upwind. That's what's going to get you upwind points.
Absolutely. If you don't shoot, who will? As the Goannas come out at an interesting offensive set here. Leask and Davis behind the disc. Elliot Cook, #1, isolated in space there. And Leask shoots long. And that's a turnover. Goannas unable to complete a pass. Oh, and that's
Kept alive by the Germans. That is Jan Schmidt. Schmidt being one of the other sets of twins in this German team. Number 66, and his brother is number 33.
So it was a call there. It's been retracted. However, it's important to remember that if the call is made, if it's a foul, it's a stoppage, all the players must stop. And even if it's retracted and play resumes, everybody has to recognize what's going on before we can resume play. Can't have some people playing and other people's not.
Here we go. Schmidt releases the disc and goes downfield. Looks like he's more comfortable down there. And the disc is kept alive another day under the intense pressure of the Goannas. And a pick has been called.
Goannas still opting for this one-on-one match defense there. Much quicker to set up after a turnover.
This is Shaw with the disc. Passes on to 57. Another Shaw. Must be a common surname in Germany. A lot of space on that far side of the field, but of course a very difficult throw warranted to get the disc there. Germans are doing well though. Excellent movement from the handlers to keep the disc alive and just keep attacking that forward space. It can be very difficult to... Wow, sensational block from Australia.
And that's Sam Jacobs getting it done. As Davis picks up the discs here. There's a floaty inside break, finds Leask. Taking their time here. Davis moving upfield. Leask not with a lot of options, shoots it inside, finds his main man, Elliot Cook. Boys getting it done. Davis on the inside, goes wide, finds Harrison Revi. Upcoming player from Sydney, plays with Colony, is recently their Rookie of the Year. Looking for the uplines here. Cook, jinking to get open, cradling that disc like a baby. A very tough baby that we might not be able to look after. Cook reenacting what's happened here, and everybody knows that reenactments win games.
My opinion, I fumbled the disc, caught against my belly, fell on my belly, had control of the disc. Disc was stopped in my hands.
Have a look at this
And
replay here.
People were saying spectacles in.
Fumbled, saying he'd hold it against his belly.
So from my perspective, it hit the ground as you were trapped.
Using his head to support himself there. Whatever works.
I respect your opinion, but I think I was at an angle like this. It makes it hard to
So it seems like we're contested. This is going to go back.
And that disc will go back. Difficult to read there. A lot happening in a small space. Just coming in with Harrison Revi. Australian set up in a vertical stack here. Germans in an aggressive match defense. Guarding these unders, not giving the Australians easy resets. Revi with not a lot of options. Finds McGuckin on the around. That one's tipped and
High
definitely
pressure from the
controlled.
Germans.
Absolutely. Getting a full hand to that one is reset to Cook, and he shoots long. He's got men out the back. Thompson tips it, and he's macked it, Alex Leaks. Australia have gone upwind again, and that is 6-2. They've extended their lead, taking a stranglehold over this game.
Got to give it to the Germans, though. There was pressure there on every pass, even every catch from the Australians. And we saw a bit of a fumble there because it was just so high pressure and challenging. The match defense is very, very tight and close.
Absolutely, and there's a testament to the athleticism of the Germans that they're able to stay there, able to stay so close and force those difficult throws. A little flick into the wind like that, even if it's 5 meters or so, you can't throw it hard and fast because it'll outrun your player, but You need to give it stability in the wind, and that's a difficult shot and forcing a fumble there, but looks like that just went back, and the Australians able to complete it a lot better on the second opportunity. This is absolutely where the goannas want to be. Goanna, a lizard from inland Australia, a fierce predator, hunting down its prey, drawing energy from the sun, and they'll feel right at home here in Perth as they look to go downwind again and lock the Germans out of this game. Germany steeling themselves, setting their offense. They need to find something here as that pull lands just out the back. Bill Foreman went to Legoland on his recent Europe trip. Appears to have brought some bricks back with him.
Walking it up to the brick mark, and the wind intensifies as papers fly off our commentating booth. Let's see what the Germans have in store to conquer it this time, with the goannas once again presenting a zone. Oh, and an early turn. They'll be disappointed with that one.
Boccia to Evans, to Cheng. Oh, he saws that one around. But Murphy is in a paddock there. Australians ruthlessly punishing that initial turnover as they scream out to a 7-2 lead, dominating this game.
That was a visionary throw. We've seen a lot of scores in this end zone be scored on the side of the field closest to the commentary booth, but that fat side closest to where the commentators are has a lot of space. It just requires a lot of skillful throwing to get the disc there. That's what we just saw from the Australians. Incredible execution and vision.
Yeah, Cheng dropping that one right down in the back of the end zone there, just showing the underside of that disc to the wind, which normally causes it to be picked up and pushed, but just enough that it rides the wind and then drops down there into the waiting breadbasket of Murphy. Germany's called a timeout here. That's quite a reasonable time. They've given away a couple of upwind breaks in a row. We were previously at 2-2, and then Australia's taken 5 in a row. That's one downwind, and that's upwind, downwind, and upwind, and downwind again. Australians flat out like a lizard drinking, just moving and moving and moving. The Germans not able to keep pace here. So it'll be interesting to see. The Germans be talking about their offense, receiving some wise words from their coaches. If they can hold on to a downwind offense here, they can put this one in cleanly and easily. They'll bring themselves back in the position they want to be in. They're going to have to be taking upwind breaks here. They need to make this happen, or else the Australians will be able to hold on to this lead till the end. But the Germans need to hold on to a downwind, feel confident about that, be like, right, back in this game, get themselves on defense. That's where they need to be taking this game away.
Yeah, certainly one of the biggest strengths as well for Australia is, of course, the incredible home crowd. We've seen it get bigger and bigger as the tournament has progressed, and of course this being the 5 p.m. game in Perth, we can see probably about 300 people on the far hill watching the game, many of whom will be Australian supporters. And the goannas have made a very proactive effort to make their supporters feel at home after each game. They ask any supporters, family members, friends that have come to watch them to come and introduce the team, meet each other, sorry. And it's just a very fantastic way to foster community within their team and make their friends and family feel welcome. So here we have the German offense again. And a match defense from Australia. Looking for some quick movement up and down the line. That seems to be when the Germans look their best. As soon as the Australians get in position and things get a bit static, that's when the high stall count throws come out. But the Germans moving quickly look strong. And we've had a pick called.
Australians really active on defense here, switching as required, not just staying with one player all the time. Sometimes it's more advantageous for you and a fellow defender to switch who it is that you're marking and gain an advantage that way.
Excellent cut from number 31, turned really early, made that deep threat viable. So his defender had to defend that one and came under for a quick gainer. But of course a turn, and Australia picks up.
It's an amazingly athletic bid, but that's an incredibly challenging grab at full extension there. Got 2 hands to it, but just couldn't close him. Well off the ground, soaring in the air, and just straight through his hands. Putting his body literally on the line there. Australia looking to go upwind, take half. Another upwind break here would be crushing. Dan Petrov graciously takes a sub for Alex Gann. It's always difficult to have your coach call you off, but Alex Gann to do it all. Dan Petrov gets a nice little rest. Jackson Boccia, hometown hero, local Perth player with Sublime, bringing the disc up to the line. Australians in a 2-person horizontal stack. The remaining 3 cutters off the end. Scan can't quite reel that one in. And the Australians scramble to a match defense.
Some question of whether to do a quick pick-up and movement or let the team settle, but looks like they chose the settling option, and an excellent bid to keep the disc alive from Kraus. Moving the disc through their handlers now, Germany. Sensational bids from the Australian, and again we're seeing some players calling for it on that big, far, fat side, but as mentioned earlier, that disc is just, that throw is just incredibly difficult. And it's sent and overthrown.
Amazing read on the game, Mickey. You got to back your receivers in there. He's floating that one out there, but soaring out the back of the end zone. Just unable to complete, giving the Australians another chance. This Australian match defense has been absolutely stifling around the end zone here. The Germans playing a very disciplined, very handler-driven offense. A lot of quick up-line cuts, a lot of athletic movement. The Australians reading it well, using their footwork to maintain the position as disc comes in with Boccia. He's looking around, finds Gann, open in space yet again. Finds Ha with a nice bidding grab in the middle there. Takes his time, goes around. Alex Gann, unguardable, shoots long. He's got 2 receivers out the back there. Mugakin elevates for the score and then flips it off to Rob Andrews. The Australians crushing this first half, and they've taken half 8-2. They've taken the last 6 in a row here. That match defense out the end zone. No holes, not letting anything through, and the Germans just doing their best, working laterally, but not able to find an opening there. Not able to reel in those shots.
What a show they are putting on for this home crowd. We've seen it all. Layouts, sensational bids, and 3 upwind breaks for the Australians will place them in a sensational position as they enter into the second half of this game. The Germans will have to bring out an amazing show to claw their way back into this game. We'll have to see what they've got in store for us in the second half.
Absolutely. We're going to leave it though. A nice bit of rest, time to collect themselves and figure out their offense here. Germans will be looking for this as they come out going downwind in this second half here. Have an opportunity for an easy score, but they haven't been able to put in even their downwinders since it was 2-2. They're going to need to fix those out. So I don't think it's the athleticism. It's not a skill deficit. Australians just fired up and screaming around this pitch. Absolutely all over this game at the moment, but don't count the Germans out. They'll be coming out. They'll need a quick score after this half, but got a lot of time. It's a 100 minutes game, and so we're going to have plenty of action for you after these highlights in the first half.
Kamikaze catching bodies, kaze kage, what you mean? Vibing on my sofa, I can't trust fake energy. Yeah, I'm hella ill, I swear that it's my destiny. Kamikaze catching bodies, kaze kage, what you mean? Right, yeah, two. What you might gain or what you might lose. The scales all on one side, so what you gon' do? The world's a stage, so make your move. This is food for thought, so eat that fruit. You're looking at her, she looking at you, but everybody else is looking at her too. What you gon' say, what you gon' do? Don't be too rough, don't act too smooth. Just be yourself and you can't lose. She just finished her drink, so go buy two. I don't think so. You know that I like you. I don't dance. You don't know what I know. Might not win. Made me feel like it's high school. I don't think so. I'm shy at first and I think so. You know you're making my heart race. Dance. I wish that I could just say hey. You're first. Oh, you love from around here. I don't think so. I'm too shy to say stay. I don't think so. Your friends and my friends. I don't think so. We could just be friends. Drink. Hang out on the weekend. I don't think so. I wanna give you a reason. Dance. Let me tell you a secret. I can tell you can keep it. Gotta give me your number. If you tell me you're leaving, mama, I wanna get down. Mama, I don't know how. Mama, I wanna show out, but I'm so shy when I come round. Mama, I wanna know now. My time's got me wiped out, but your eyes are the stars out. Let me ask where your life bout. Like right now, can you tell me what your eye found? Lost string before I bounce. Let me ask you this. Do you dance? Does your God permit? Cause you got a body that look like you mastered it. You wanna drink cause I'm about to get the lagers in. You want a selfie, I hope you're not a narcissist. Do you like Mary Jane like Peter Parker did? In that case, well, what you doing after this? Me and my boy going to where the party is. Bring your friend by, you can leave your car. I don't think so. Girl, you know that I like you. I don't dance. You don't know what I know. Might not win. Made me feel like it's high school. I don't think so. I'm shy at first and I think so. You know you're making my heart race. Dance. I wish that I could just say hey. You're first. Oh, you love from around here. I don't think so. I'm too shy to say stay. I don't think so. Your friends and my friends. I don't think so. We could just be friends. Drink. Hang out on the weekend. I don't think so. I wanna give you a reason. Dance. Let me tell you a secret. I can tell you can keep it. Gotta give me your number. I don't think so. If you tell me you're leaving,
Welcome back to the second half of this action here and the men's bronze medal game between Australia and Germany. Australia soaring out to a commanding 8-2 lead, most recently even a 2-2. Germans unable to score since then. Australians employing a ruthless match defense out front of the end zone. The Germans looking to attack it with a lot of fast handler movement, a lot of upline, a lot of break resets, but not able to get open on those scoring cuts. The Germans coming out on offense here, looking to go downwind. They're going to need to get in a downwind hold if they're going to hold it together, stop the bleeding, and then collect the rest of the game. The Goannas feeling strong, but it's a bit of a trap here. Some might say 8-2 could be the most dangerous score in Ultimate. We'll see how we go. Can't fall into a trap. We hear calls of, "We're not done yet, boys," coming from the sideline, and that's absolutely true. There's another half of Ultimate yet to come. Germany absolutely still in this game. They're fiery, they're athletic, and they're in the downwind position here. Interesting to note that late in this game, the wind has stilled down a little bit. It's a bit cooler, the wind's a bit lower, and the sun is coming right into everybody's eyes. Makes for a winning combination as the Australians come out on offense here. Gann finds Grimmond. Grimmond goes around to Gann. Germans playing his own defense. Davis unable to reel that one in, yielding a short field turn. Germans looking for their first point after half.
And this would set the Germans up nicely for a very quick early break with Shaw picking up the disc, centres it, pressure on, and we're looking for that characteristic up the line cut from the handlers, but it's well covered by the Australians. A lot of space on the open side. Again, well defended. And a beautifully centred disc gives the Germans one break. Granted, a downwind break, but still a break, bringing the scores up to 8-3.
Absolutely. It's nice to see the Germans back on the board, back firing. I think you're absolutely right. They're using a lot of upline movement here. The upline move, traditionally one that's taught in Australia as a standard dump. And so the Goannas ready for this and reading it well, but the Germans using the Goannas a reactivity to open up their space for those around break shots and slotting that one in for a quick goal. The Germans here, this is the time for action. They've gone downwind, they've got back on the board, they've stopped the bleeding, but now they need to be taking up windbreaks. The Goannas have a commanding lead in this game, and Germany needs to be scoring upwind if they're going to be able to get it done. They are on defense, so they will need to get a block first. The Goannas have the wind at their back and shooters on the line. The pool comes up and it's sailing just out of the field. Australia's going to take this one from the brick mark, have the opportunity to set up as they like. Walk it to the center of the field. Bocce with the disc. He's been the rock of this Australian offensive line. Played with the Goannas 2 years ago in London. And is here doing it all again with Alex Gann, Kanziri. Back to his Perth compatriot, Bocce. As the Germans set a zone defense here. There's a foul on the mark. It's uncontested. We're back playing again. Bocce pivots around, finds Gann, shoots it wide, finds Ha. Ha finds Gann. Gann advances to Bocce. A nice driving grab. Patience here from the Australians. Andrews, the vice captain, pointing, telling his men where to go. Finds Ha. Ha lets one rip. He's got a man free at the back of the end zone. And he manages to shoot that one straight into the flag.
I think if I tried to do that, I couldn't hit it, so he did a good job. We've got the Germans picking up with some high pressure around the disc. The Australians poaching in the lanes to make that upwind throw very difficult. Sensational pressure from the Australians, and that is a block right outside their end zone.
Jackson Bocce defying gravity. Doesn't look like it'd fly, but he's done it there. And he shot a blade to Rob Andrews. Perhaps a bit too casual there. The Goannas back on defense. Let's see if we get some more layup blocks.
Germany against the sideline here, but it looks like the Goannas aren't aiming to trap as much, but a foot block. Who needs to trap when you can kick the disc anyway?
Absolutely. McGuckin loves a good foot. Let's put that one straight through the disc. Have a quick check for the condition there. See if it still exists in 3 dimensions or if he's booted that one into an alternate reality. Alex Gann yielding the disc there. Not paying any attention to the caution tape. Doesn't need to. He's got Andrews at the front there and he floats that out. Andrews securing the grab, sticking that foot back to go in there. That's a classic isolation play on the end zone there. And Australia able to go downwind, extend their lead at 9-3. The Germans can't be too mad about that. Foot blocks happen. It's very, very difficult to go upwind. McGuckin, a lengthy mark. Man is all limb.
We're seeing the Australian coach Huey reading out the list of the players who will be on the next point. He, a former Goanna himself, playing in 2015 alongside Latamatos, one of their other coaches. We've got a lot of legacy in the coaching team for these Goannas, and I think they feel very emotionally connected to their players. You were telling us before the game that it just felt like playing with a group of friends. He knows lots of the players from Sydney, having played with them at university and coaching them in university. And he's obviously brought them huge success to bring them this far with an amazing team of coaches beside him. And they'll be looking to seal the deal tonight.
Absolutely. I had the pleasure of being coached by Ewing myself in my university days. It's much better than playing with him. As the Goannas come down to defense here, Germany looking for another downwinder.
The Germans looking downfield, but there's very little coming, and the cutters are very deep, making it very difficult to get open. Some high pressure around the stack, but an excellent throw through the middle of the field. And Huck to an easy completion. That is Marco Kraus bringing that one down. Sensational visions from the Germans. They sent the disc to one side of the field and then crossed it to the other in a lovely zigzag pattern that the Goannas just couldn't defend. Excellent offense from them.
You can see those two Australian defenders screaming after there, but he was off to the races. No one was catching Kraus from there. And that disc, beautifully put by Schlosser, riding the wind. No defender ever had a chance there. And it's a confident one-handed grab as the Germans hold on here, kick the can down the road, and that's 9-4. They put themselves in the position they need to be in here. They're ready to go upwind here. Australians starting on offense. Germans going to need a break.
Yeah, 9-4 to Australia. Let's see what defense the Germans have in store for them this time.
Might be a good chance to change up the defense here, throw something wacky at them. Australians feel like they've gotten comfortable, have been working really, really well against this German, so they're going to need to change something if they're going to find a block. Can't let the Australians get comfortable. As Bocce fields the disc and finds Gan. Open under again. Andrews working hard in the lane, unable to get free. Bocce with the disc. Andrews is gone, and he looks and he sees it. That one's shot long. Jackson Bocce, the nugget that he is, he's put a lot of power behind that one, and it's soared out the back. Germany with an opportunity to go upwind here, but they're going to have to go through the Goannas to make that happen.
The crossfield movement worked really well for Germany last point by sending the disc laterally to the other side of the field. The Goannas had to adjust, and then they sent it back, and there were just a lot of gaps in the defense. If they can engineer some similar plays here, they might see themselves with an upwind score, but like you said, they'll have to get through the wall that is the Goannas defense first. Schmidt with the disc on the sideline, and it's looking very cluttered around there. Gets a safe center to Kraus.
Jeremy Hart coming in with a bid there. He could be a bit disappointed with himself there. He was looking for that block. Looked like he might have had a chance there, but that's not the kind of play we want to see here.
Yeah, Shock pretty disappointed and frustrated by that one. He's calling an injury, and we've got Metzger coming in to cover for him. He would have had a lot of flow had that foul not occurred, so understandably disappointed.
Yeah, indeed. Foul, getting a block, not an excuse for fouling somebody. I think the Goannas team will be not pleased with Haas' play. They'll be glad that he's going for that intensity and athleticism, but controlling the body and putting it where you need is all part of that. As the Germans have swung it wide and it's been pushed by the wind and unable to reel that one in, and the Australians have picked it up and given it right back. Basically back where we started here. The Germans coming in on the cone.
The big mark that is Rob Andrews. Schmidt with the disc again, passing the disc 5 meters directly back for a safe dump. He had almost nothing downfield, and it looks like there was nothing deep field either. Just trying to get some ground and push the Goannas back.
Definitely had a player going, but He was a bit late in the stall count, and as he turned his head, rotated his body because he needed to put everything on that disc to send it. Didn't see the player turn under, and all he found was empty space in Australians. Jackson Boccia bringing the disc in again here. Looking downfield. There's two cut a set of the Australians, and he's put that one up high, but Rob Andrews is a very long man. He's collected that one. Shoots a little flick to Alex Gann. Goes back around to Rob Andrews. Gann's taken off. Andrews finds Cheng on the under. Cheng threatening the hammer. Finds McGuckin on this close sideline here. Australians with not a lot of space to work. Resetting backwards to Andrews. Andrews floating that one down the line. McGuckin going up early, but can't quite reel that one in under the German defensive pressure.
The Germans were looking for a very quick transition there, running the disc up to the line. They've got it moving well. No deep cuts coming though. We saw the Australians get a lot of success from deep cuts in the upwind space. It looks like the Germans are just looking to chip it around, but by not threatening a deep space, it's making Australia's defensive job a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's interesting here. You can see that the Germans not really threatening, that perhaps not believing that the throwers can put it up that far. Playing the same game that they were playing in the first half. The wind is considerably lighter now. The German throwers are just as skilled as they were, so they need to be threatening it there, need to be shooting long to make that happen. The Australians, just as you were saying, all they have to do is stand under the Germans and cut off those undercuts, and it's going to be very, very difficult for the Germans to get any movement if the Australians don't have to respect that longer shot.
And there's Metzger. Speaking of sending it long, what a beautiful throw into the end zone. Perfectly weighted. And an excellent upwind score for Germany. That places them at 9-5. And if the 2-for-1 rule stands, we might see them catching up Australia very, very soon.
All right, and that's what we wanted for here. German offense showing some fire. Looking up that wind, they're backing their throwers in here. There's a big flick coming up the sideline. So he received that disc in a power position. So he was moving upfield, caught the disc, and then shot it in the direction that he was looking. Receiving that disc like that allows you to keep your momentum going forward and shoot long. He's managed to put it just enough on that one to have it sit beautifully out in front of his receiver. That's a great grab. Kraus on the receiving end there. Doing a lot of work for this German team. He's absolutely got the pace to make it happen. As the Germans got to go downwind here to consolidate that break. And then later in the game, do it again. Australians here coming out on offense at least. They'll start with the disc, but they'll face all of the wind issues that the Germans were doing, plus the German defense. The Germans will be energized by that score. They'll be amped. They're back in this game. They've got some fire left.
Just looking at their jerseys, you can tell they've spent a lot of time on the ground this tournament. That tells a tale of itself. A team that bids and a team that is not afraid to get dirty. Who knows whether they've been doing laundry or not, but they've been giving it this game, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Laundry, definitely a luxury, not an essential at a tournament like this. And the Germans believing they're ready to go long. Grimmond and Evans, tissue between themselves, going up the line. And looks like there's a foul call. Grimmond with a bit of a bump as he's trying to rotate, move around. Germans accepting that one. There's been a lot less foul calls later in this game. Players have settled into the level of physicality. There's been a few bumps here and there, but largely they've worked out what they're happy to play with and the amount of contact that's acceptable. As Gann gets the disc going up line. This is another stoppage on the field. If Australia can get an upwinder here, it'll be punishing. As Alex Gann shoots long, he's got Bill off the back here. Bill goes up early, takes a one-handed, left-handed grab, and Australia have not let the Germans back in this game here. The Germans needed a block there. They needed to be going downwind. Australia not letting them back in this game, holding onto their lead, 10-5.
Double-digit territory has been entered, sounding the end of the game is nigh, potentially, unless Germany can bring us an impressive comeback.
It's absolutely within their ability here, but interesting strategic choice. They've had a decent amount of success with their zone defense, putting a lot of pressure around the disc, but opting for a one-on-one match defense there. And the Australians working against him confidently, and Alex Gann doing it on both sides of the disc. Beautiful shot up in the end there.
Yeah, both Gann and Evans have been essential components of the Goanna's offensive lines. We've seen both of them sending some pretty sensational throws up into the wind, floating them out nicely for their players to enable these upwind breaks.
Absolutely. A number of these players preparing for the World Ultimate Club Championships in Ohio later this year. They'll be representing their hometown clubs against the best the world have to offer. Gann playing with a mixed team, Frisky Ultimate. They'll be looking to stamp their mark on the division here after he's done wowing the world with his prowess with the Australian men's team here.
Metzger again with the discs, just kept alive. And we're again seeing that high pressure immediately around the disc. We've got about 5 Germans back at the moment, or within about 15 metres of the disc. Those over-the-top throws are difficult in these conditions, but the team certainly isn't all that spaced out at the moment, rendering the defence a bit easier.
Lachlan Murphy putting a lot of pressure. There's a teammate of Alex Gann's on Frisky Ultimate there. Big lanky boy from Queensland. Spends a lot of time bending bananas, but here he's pressuring the mark and getting blocks. Looks like there's a foul called there. And now I'll bring it back in.
Yeah, you can see that Australian mark really adjusting as the stall count gets high, initially forcing to the sideline and then essentially wrapping around to the back of the play to stop any dump pass. But the Germans have got out of it very impressively and sent the disc to this side of the field, closest to the commentary box. We're seeing Metzger again, an essential component of that handling team, and Hartman keeping it alive.
Australians at the moment look like they're happy to let the Germans move it laterally across the field and looking to get into position to trap it on the sideline. As they shoot long, incomplete. The Germans at half field looking to go upwind here.
I think we need to see more looks like that from the Germans, to be honest. They're at a point in the game where they have nothing to lose, and by taking risks like that, that's how you get upwind breaks. And it was a sensational, visionary shot, well caught, and now the Germans are knocking on the door of the upwind end zone. And the disc is kept alive. Metzger, I don't think he's had a sub in the past 3 or 4 points, and you can see why. Absolutely extraordinarily play from him. And that puts the Germans up to 10-6. That's 3 upwind scores we've seen in the past 3 points. Both teams, showing us how it's done essentially.
Absolutely. I think these teams are changing up their tactics a bit. It looks like they're willing to take a lot more shots upwind. The wind has died down a bit later in the day in this second half, but I think the Germans have a lot more belief and a lot more faith in their throwers' ability to get it up that distance and break open that Australian zone. So Australians looking to answer going upwind, and Australia, they're up with a good lead here. Still 4 points ahead as the game becomes less about upwind breaks and more about long offensive holds. As the Australians looking to do exactly that, coming out on offense. They'll have a long way to go. The Germans, another opportunity here to stifle the Australians. Be interesting to see if they come out with a different defense. Last time they opted for a one-on-one match defense, and it didn't seem to trouble the Goannas. If I'm the German coach here, I throw out, at the very least, a transition look, potentially a zone. Ideally, some ace in the hole, something the Goannas haven't seen yet. As they brick the pool there. It's not going to do them any favors.
It does look like another match defense. Be interesting to see if there have been any adaptations to how it'll be executed.
Absolutely. As much as there are different defenses and there are match and zone and those sorts of things, you can definitely play match a lot differently as the Australians. Bobbling that disc, keeping it alive. Moving around here. Very varied offense. A lot of places in a lot of different areas. As Evans engages in conversation without signaling to the rest of the field, so no one has any idea what's going on. Looks like their disc is coming in again, and the Australians off to the races there.
Shaw on the mark. Kraus defending the dump. Alex Gann, we've seen him marking most of the dump defenders of Germany today.
As a Grimmen to Petrov pass just goes uncompleted there. And this is what they're looking for, the Germans. An opportunity to go downwind and close the gap.
And the Germans have a player open. Looks like the Australians, oh no, he's still open and poached and cutting deep. The Australians haven't quite matched up against him yet. And now he's covered. Well recovered defense by the Australians.
And again, there's a call on the field. Looks like Kraus and Petrov started having a call. Again, without informing the rest of everybody, so everybody else just having a little bit of a practice toss and see what's going on.
Looks like there's a bit of contact with cutting in this second half of the game. Obviously, the defense has been quite tight. We've seen players sometimes actually touching the back of their opponent, which if both teams are happy with that, that's fine, but evidently can lead to a bit more contact than usual.
Yeah, one of the beauties of self-officiation is up to the players on the field at the time to determine the level of contact available as that shot goes downwind. Looks like Evans is indicating that the shot went out of the field where it was thrown and never came back in. So the disc will re-enter the field where it crossed the line. Game advisors just offering some clarification.
Discussion about the point at which the German player touched the disc, I think. If he touched the disc while it was in the air, the disc would be coming in at the end zone line. Whereas if he touched it on the ground, then it would be coming in on this sideline, giving the Goannas a 20 or 30 metre advantage.
I'm telling you about perspective. Okay. Your feet were on the line when you touched the disc, which means you were out. Yeah. Okay. The question here is whether or not this player over there touched the disc. I didn't touch it, if that's what you asked. Then it's up here. Up there. Okay. Okay.
And they're all happy to accept the perspective of the game advisor there. It's definitely non-binding, but it's nice to have someone whose only job is to look at what's happened and let them know what they saw. Players also have an equally valid opinion. They also have eyes. Alex Gann with the disc. Goes to Grimmen, back on the line there. Grimmen, oh, and that's an incredible...
What a block! That is from Schmidt, one of the German twins on this line. His brother Lars, 99 as well. There are two sets of German twins on this team, one player on the offensive line and one on the defensive line.
66 and 99. Great pair of numbers.
You were in the pivot. You hadn't started the throwing motion yet. I believe I was in the throwing motion. If he calls contact, does it matter?
He's saying that he's calling foul.
Correct. In my throwing motion, as I've thrown the disc, I've said contact, and then there's been the turnover there. I believe the contact affected my throw. I just said contact as opposed to foul.
Okay, I mean, he's entitled to make that mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is it, if I don't think he was in the throwing motion, then is that?
That sounds like it's a contest.
Okay. Sorry?
The question is if it affected the throw at all, because it looked like...
It definitely affected the throw, but
it looked like
it before
it looked like you got it exactly where you wanted on your round.
Game advisors indicating that some time has passed.
Yeah, just a bit of discussion about whether or not Grimmen was in his throwing motion when the foul occurred. If Grimmen's stationary as been fouled and then executed the throw perfectly, then the foul won't have affected. As he shoots up line and he finds Alex Gann. Oh, and Bill Foreman elevates for the score again. Alex Gann has put it on a dime. Bill Foreman, separation only in the air. But that's enough. Australia stretch it out 11-6. Looks like everybody's able to go upwind these days. Teams believing in their shooters, backing in those deep cuts, completing. Goanna's not letting the Germans back into the game here. The Germans are doing a great job, but they've been able to go upwind. They've been able to make it happen, but they haven't been able to get blocks on the Goannas again. So they're going to need to start getting blocks here. The Goannas untroubled by this upwind here, making it happen when they need it to happen. Incredibly athletic plays all over the shop.
So I've got the 2 bronze medal matches today. We had the mixed bronze medal match earlier with Canada running away with that one against the Australian Blue Bottles. And of course this match, bronze medal in the men's division, with the women's division semi, bronze and gold medal all scheduled for tomorrow.
Absolutely. There's been a lot of interesting things happening in the women's division. We haven't known who is going to be in the semis until the end of the very last game today. Thanks to some interesting tiebreakers and draws and three-way ties and just an incredible amount of parity in the women's division. We found out that the 4 semi-finalists will be the USA, Canada, Colombia, and Australia. Japan missing out, coming out the bottom of their head-to-head draw with Australia. It's Germany looking to go upwind here, looking to keep their hopes alive this afternoon.
Kraus with the disc, who we've seen as pretty much an all-rounder. He's been marking the handlers, he's been handling himself, and the Germans get another upwind. It's a game of upwinds more than downwinds, it seems, these days.
Absolutely. I don't know that there's been a turnover along in the past few points there. Every team starting on offense late in the second half, able to just punch it in upwind. And they're backing in their throwers now. All they've got to do is keep those discs flat. And then there's a lot more license to shoot it out very far in front. The wind, not so strong that it's going to push that disc down and flip it over, but just enough that it's going to cause it to float up, stay in the air for longer. It looked like, as Shock was running that one down, it looked like it could drop at any moment, but high enough oxygen content this afternoon that it floated there. He's able to run it down for a German upwind score. That brings us to 11-7. It's been a 4-point difference for a long time now, since it was 9-5. Germany needing to get a block here. They've got to put this one in. They need to change up the pace of this game. If it continues the way it's going, it's all Goannas. 1-1-1-1-1 leads to a Goanna victory in a few short points.
We do feel the wind intensifying though now here in the commentator box. A few gusts should help this pool go down nice and deep and should help the German defense if it continues.
Absolutely. That one's rocketing into the end zone there, fielded by Gann. Up to Grimmond. Looking around here, surveying his options, he's going backwards. He's reset to Gann. Back to Grimmond. Around to McGuckin. Germans coming out in a little bit of a poachy defense to start, but have now transitioned to a hard one-on-one match as Gann resets to Grimmond again. Not a lot of options here as he finds Gann. He's got Foreman off the back. They're looking to do it again. Oh, this one had just a little too much edge on it. What's good once is usually good twice, but this time that disc not floating the way that they wanted it. Gann with a lot of power. Just maybe 2 or 3% of the wrong edge, and Foreman unable to reel it in. Germany with an opportunity here. They've got a hold going downwind. There's a call on the field.
There we go. There's that classic centered movement after an upline cut from Germany. The stack is quite deep, but given the wind, probably not for the players. The wind helping to move that disc along. The disc is still quite concentrated around this sideline close to the commentary box. The Germans will look strong if they can get it to the far side of the field. That's where the scoring money is, it seems.
They're showing good movement here. They're getting open on a lot of these unders. The Australians very reasonably respecting this downwind shot. The Germans have completed a lot more hucks in this second half, and the Australians can't afford to just let their player go. But that enables the Germans to turn under and get a 10-meter gainer. They've used that to get to about halfway now.
And it is sent up as predicted. 2v1. It looked close, but couldn't quite reel it in.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. It's a bit of a shame to see, really. The Germans doing very, very well up to get to halfway there, churning those unders, getting open on those cuts, and then just shooting it away, and Goanna's all over that one. It gives them an opportunity to go upwind here, and they're not going to give it away cheaply. As Gan, with a powerful point, lets them know how it's going to be. Looks off the inside break. Finds Foreman on the under, and that's just out of his hands. There's a bidding German defender who's come back into the legs there. It's a bad kind of contact.
Just rolled over it. Oh, good. I am going.
Oh, cool.
Looks like there'll be no call there. Foreman recognized he was coming under, and that was a laser of a throw, and it bounced out of his hand, and then the contact happened from the bidding German defender. Foreman well within his rights to call a foul there, but accepting the physicality that has been occurring all throughout this game, recognizing that he just dropped it. It's great spirit from the Australians here as they lose possession of the disc, yield a short field to the Germans, and give them the opportunity to close this gap a little bit.
And there's Metzger picking the disc up, who's been directing the German offense all throughout this game, playing many, many points. In Australia, we'd say he'd be cooked. Legs pretty worn out.
You could put a fork in him, you know. He is done.
Oh, looks like potentially a strip there, but we'll see what the players have to say.
Yep. Yeah, it looked like he had two solid hands, a great control of that one, and then Grimmin came flying through hunting for the block, half a second too late, and he's not contesting that strip. It's definitely something you can feel on defense usually. The disc is a lot of resistance when somebody is holding it. There'll be another injury call here. Grimmin will take a sub. Germans with the opportunity to sub a player themselves.
Looks like we're swapping captain for captain, pardon me. Grimmond off, and we've got Andrews coming on.
Germans with about 2 meters to work. But the Australians have stopped them here before.
We are in. There's Shaw with the disc. Had to lose about 10 meters with that throw, but sometimes got to go back to go forward. Excellent space in that far corner, and a beautiful open side throw. That is to Konrad Schlor. Seals the deal for the Germans, and the 2-for-1 theory maybe is resurrected.
Absolutely. Late in this game, we've seen only upwinders. A lot of very clean offensive holds here, but Australia not able to make it happen this time. And their 4-point lead is now just 3 points. It's 11-8. Australia lead.
It's game to 12.
Time cap's come, and it's a game to 12. This will be game point for Australia. If they can go downwind and hold this one, they will secure themselves a bronze medal here at the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. There's a lot to play for on the line here. Germany coming out firing. They've just scored. They're coming out on defense. They want to get a block here. They'll be putting out their strongest line. They need to keep their hopes alive with another upwind score. They've done it before. Can they do it again here? The Goannas putting out a regular offensive unit. This is the same unit that's done it many times before. Head coach Yueng backing them in to do it again. This pool comes up. This one attached with fishing wire to a cloud there, settling nicely, and Jackson Boccia, so relaxed he's almost asleep. Looking about to pick up the disc here. As he's got Cheng off the back, takes the safe one again.
Andrew's going deep and he is looking strong. Oh.
Interesting what happened there. McGuckin and Andrews contesting that same disc, and Andrews reaching with one hand. He won't be very happy with that one. That's all right. Goannas on defense here. They've yielded the Germans the opportunity they were looking for. They're trying to go upwind here and get themselves within striking distance. Andrews on the mark.
Scholl again for Germany. Hasn't had too many subs in the points. And there's Kraus all-rounder working it around with Scholl. They'll be looking to get it out of this hot zone, especially knowing that this is match point if the Australians get it. And a call.
Looks like there might have been a little bump there. It's physical defense coming from both sides. Both players able to play through it. Germans going upwind.
Send a long one. Cleaned up nicely by the Australian defense. There wasn't too much coming for the German handlers there. Very challenging.
Looks like there's a violation called there. Just a little bit of bump on the mark before to that. It's likely just doing a bit of a lip reading and gesticulation interpretation here.
When a player calls a foul, everyone stops, and if it's uncontested, we come back in at the beginning. But in the case of contact, it comes back in at the beginning unless it's contested.
Okay.
It looks like the issue there was that the German defensive player did not reset the count if Boccia was calling contact. Doing a lot of pointing and directing at the moment. And the disc is back in. Australia looking for the win. Goes around. Looks for McGuckin. And the Australian players having a chat about whether or not they thought that one was out. He's come down with the first point of contact, either past the line or on the line. Be out and that's a turn. Looks like he's all good. McGuckin resets to Cheng in the center of the field. Cheng not wanting the reset. Shoots for the win here. He's got McGuckin in the end zone, and the Australians have done it. They've outlasted the German attempts to go upwind, and they are ecstatic about it. That's a bronze medal for the Goannas. Their best performance since 4 years ago in Toronto.
That is history repeating itself. The Germans will feel very devastated with that loss. Once in 2013 and again here today in 2018. The Goannas securing a bronze medal, matching the best performance they saw in 2013. Sensational effort by the team. As we said, a team of legacy, a team with many players now coaching. The boys will be so proud, especially to do that in front of a home crowd here in Australia.
Absolutely. And not to diminish the efforts of the German team here. Looking down and out of this game at 8-2 at halftime. Resurgent effort in the second half there. Putting in a lot of upwinders, doing what had to be done, but not able to close out the game.
A physical game on both sides. It seems that both the teams were happy playing quite hotly contested defense. We saw a few questionable layouts, but generally speaking, it looks like all calls were resolved very promptly, very amicably, and with good spirit.
Yeah, I think the players won't be too mad about that one. I think There are a few calls, and that's what it comes with contact, but I don't think any of the players will feel cheated, like they were robbed by unfair calls. I think the calls were used in the manner in which they were intended to manage and let the game flow with a good level of contact and allow the physicality of these players to come through in a safe and controlled manner. It's been an amazing game here. A bronze medal match between the Australian Goannas and the German national team. The Goannas screaming out to an early lead, 8-2 at halftime. It looked tight at the beginning with a 2-2 to score, but the Goannas powering out with the up wind breaks. 8-2 at halftime, and then the German team striking back, taking up wind breaks of their own, but the Goannas responding in kind. Truly an athletic game. Not a lot of being given. No mercy, no quarter from either team. A very physical game. A decent amount of contact occurring. But all well-spirited and using the rules effectively to manage it. Make sure nobody felt cheated or robbed by what was occurring. And an athletic contest between these two powerhouses.
Absolutely, and now the German men can sit back, relax and enjoy the rest of the tournament and the rest of Australia. Many of them continuing on to travel around our beautiful country after the tournament. They already had a bike tour in Rottnest Island before the tournament with the women's team, I believe, and were very impressed by the local quokkas, which I've never seen in my life, so they ticked one off the list before I did. Many of them are going to the Great Ocean Road and Alice Springs after this tournament. So sensational that they can be here, flying all the way from Europe, and they've still got lots to look forward to, even after the tournament.
Absolutely. It's amazing to have all of these teams from around the world, particularly the European teams, travel all the way to Perth, Western Australia for this amazing contest. It's been great to see them here in this amazing contest. We look forward to seeing you there for the finals tomorrow. There'll be some intense matchups, some exciting ultimates here at the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. I've been Rob Swan with Michaela Dignam. It's been amazing having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.